Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Tate. I am the VP of Finance for TFRW. And unfortunately, I can't be with you today because I'm serving as a proxy for my SRAC member while she runs for Congress. So I have taped this video today to help you with your fundraising efforts for your club. Obviously, I'm not there. You can't ask me questions, and I'm so sorry. But at the end of my presentation, I swear all my information will be available where you can call me and have any questions, comments, concerns, anything I went over too fast, anything, just let me know. This is very rudimentary um, uh, video. I am not the world's best at it. But we're going to get the information out, and that's the most important part. So fundraising 101. Why are we raising money? I mean, we're a Republican women's organization, right? We're not supposed to be raising money. That's what businesses do. But how are we going to get Republicans elected if we don't have any money? We can't get our message out to our voters if we can't um, have a functioning club. And you can't have a functioning club without being able to have maybe a post office box, host a website, maybe an email um, subscription. Uh, you need occasionally to send some mail, just basic things to keep your club running. Copying. You usually have copies that you have to make for your club. Maybe you send out text messages. All of those things have money. In addition, your club may be one of those that wants to give PAC money to candidates. And this is one way that you've got to have money and raise money to give money to help those candidates get elected. You may have a Caring for America project, or, almost every single one of our county Lincoln Reagan dinners would like for us to donate an auction item. You've got to have money to buy that item. So how do we fundraise? Well, you can never start too early. The minute you become the finance chair for your club or your club president, you need to sit down and determine how are you going to make money for the year. You need to set your goal. You need to set an attainable goal, not some crazy far out dream. Make sure it's something you can do. Have a strategy of how you're going to raise that money. Have a plan and stick to it. The plan should spell out exactly what the money is for, how much you need, and how you're going to raise it. Don't go 2 or 3 months and go, I changed my mind and do something else. Have a plan, stick to it. How do you raise money? Well, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can have events or non-events. Let's take events first. You can, of course, have a dinner or a gala, a group activity such as a watch party or tailgate party before a game. For example, if there was a presidential debate going on, maybe you have a pizza and politic party and you charge $20 to come watch the presidential debate and you serve pizza. Uh, you could have pancakes and politics. Everyone does something in the evenings. Why not have a breakfast or a brunch? Do something a little different. Barbecue or chili cook-off. This could be really fun because you could make it a thing with your elected officials, and then they get bragging rights on whoever won from the barbecue or chili cook-off with their special recipes. You've got your tried and true bake and craft sales. Those always work. Ice cream social, golf tournament, skeet shoot. Sky's the limit. Your imagination's the limit. And there's lots of ideas out there. And I encourage you to even go on to different clubs throughout the state, heck, even the country. See what they're doing. It might spark your imagination. Or if you see something that looks like it works well, or you hear about something that works well, sometimes copying is the best form of flattery, right? Here's just some examples of things that other clubs have done. They had a rock and roll night, which was dinner and dancing down at Lake Conroe. My club held something called Power of the Purse. where we had our members donate purses and we auctioned them off. And then they had a fun little wine and cheese bunko party down at Forney. So there's all kinds of different things you can do. Non-events. These are things that are a little can be easier, can be a little more time consuming, depends on how you look at it. You can do t-shirt, jewelry, bumper sticker type sales. Um, and that's great. We certainly want to have our information out there. Just remember, any t-shirt, hat, bumpers, stickers, anything you sell, it is subject to sales tax. So be sure you remember that you do have to pay the sales tax on that and charge the sales tax. Something that's a very easy and passive way to make money: advertising your newsletter or your directory. Have your elected officials, or maybe it's a business that's a non-corporation in your area, have them put an ad in your newsletter or directory. You put it in there one time, you don't have to touch it again. Be sure you add a membership as a perk for being in your newsletter or your membership directory, because that always helps your membership numbers. Ask elected officials to sponsor one of your meetings. Um, I know there's a club in Fort Worth that they have a different elected official that sponsors each one of their meetings, and that pays for their meeting space. Um, Double your membership fee if possible. I say this with a huge word of caution. Know your area. If you can double a membership fee and make money, great. The main point, though, of your club is to have members and to get Republicans elected. You're going to know if your area can absorb having a larger membership fee, or if just the minimal amount is all you can charge. You can always make up the money somewhere else. You don't have to make money on membership. Listen to me. You don't have to make money on memberships. Have members. That's the most important thing. Figure out how to make that extra later. If you can make a few dollars off your membership, great. But the most important thing is you have members. Maximize the amount you charge your associate members. That's free money to you. You don't report any of that or charge dues to NFRW or TFRW. So if you can get $50 per man out of that, I say do it. Start a patron program. We'll talk about a patron group here, how to do a patron program here in the next slide. If you have a member that has a business, have them host a party and donate their proceeds to the club. When my club started, one of our members sold Stella and Dot. Well, we all love jewelry. So we had a meeting, a loosely termed meeting, a social get together. We all bought jewelry. And then she donated her proceeds back to the club. And that was our seed money for our club. There's lots of, different things like that out there. Maybe it's 31 or Scout and Cellar, or lots of different places that can have a hostess party and they can donate the money back to you. Host a booth at a county fair. And maybe it's not a county fair, maybe it's some sort of Main Street festival days or something. This does a lot of things for you. One, you can sell items, but at the same time, you're out in the community, they're seeing you, and you can educate members about your club. You can gain memberships, and you can talk about the Republican Party and why it's important to vote and be part of the Republican Party. You can even register voters there. And of course, you have that good old check writing, no fuss fundraiser. I am a little kid still. I'm involved in PTA. This is what our school likes. They just like to write a check. They don't want to have to go to anything. They don't want to have to buy anything. They don't have to do anything. I read about a club, I believe in Tennessee, that they do a tea party by writing a letter that says, please sit down with this cup of tea, and they put in a tea bag. brew yourself a cup of tea and write us a check. And it worked for them. So that one you just have to hope it works, and you may be surprised. The other thing is, don't forget to put a donate button on your website. Anybody can donate at any time. That's just a freebie you should have out there. Patron programs. So, patron programs, give it a catchy, fun name like um, Blue Bonnet Circle, Reagan Cabinet, Red Elephant Council, Texan Committee, Sam Houston Board, Austin Assembly. I mean, those are ones I just kind of came up with. I think Blue Bonnet Circle is something that Capital Women use, but the other ones I made up just by chance. Maybe somebody else uses them. I don't know. The key to a patron program is to have a patron program where your events and the perks are cheap. You want to charge a higher amount for these members, and you can even tier those members out. So you could have, say, a silver level, a bronze level, a silver level, a gold level. And maybe one's $100, one's $200, one's $500. You're going to hold extensive members events, these patron members. For them, they're not hugely expensive. Maybe that's something like holding a coffee in the president's home or some nice restaurant or area, and then have a special speaker that you really get to talk to one-on-one. So, for example, my club had a patron event pre-COVID with our national committee man. We had a dessert party in one of our members' homes. It only costs us a few cheesecakes and the cost of the coffee. He came, he spent an hour and a half, and we talked about the 2020 election, what we needed to be doing, what was going on the national level. And it was really a one on one conversation that we got a lot out of. You might have special seating in an event or meeting for these members, patron members. Maybe first come ticket survey for if you're holding another event for them. You could possibly attend a museum as a group, and then you pay the admission. I know my club's done that. Maybe hold a wine tasting with a wine tasting expert. That's kind of fun and out of the event. Or maybe it's a special watch party that not the whole club is invited to. But the key there is to maximize your revenue, but not spend a whole lot of money on an event throughout the year. And you can hold one event for your patrons. You can hold 5 events. It's really up to you. Now, one of the most important things I can tell you about fundraising is to diversify. Just like your investments, you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. Why? Biggest thing I can tell you about that one is COVID. Many of our clubs have one big event a year, and that's their only source of fundraising. Well, most of us didn't get to have our events last year. My club didn't, but we were still selling ads in our newsletter. We were still had our patron program. So we still had money coming in, and we weren't dependent on that one event. So I really do encourage you to have more than one thing going on within your fundraising. So you're going to have an event. Why do you want to do it? I mean, come on, we all know that it is a lot. It's a lot of work. Well, one of the reasons is to, of course, raise money. We know that that's a good reason to have an event. You want to raise money for your PAC or your scholarship or your Caring for America project. You want to give your guests and your members something memorable outside of the normal meetings. They get to socialize, know each other. Most of our meetings are crammed with lots of information and no time to really talk. This is a great time for people to get together and socialize and know each other. You're going to gain publicity and awareness for your club. If you have a successful event, it's going to gain positive attention. And That's going to help you, of course, gain members. So, for example, this is a picture I put up here of my husband and Lieutenant Governor at our fundraiser, The Power of the Purse. We gained 5 or 10 members, a good amount from our fundraiser because it was unique. And this picture was running at the clubhouse at Ropes and Ranch. And people, they were like, oh, we have a Republican Women's Club. I didn't know that. Oh, oh, I want to be a part of that. All because they saw the lieutenant governor holding a whole bunch of purses. Then they were asking, then they inquired, they found out about us. We gained memberships. You might have an event because someone special in your club, or maybe one of your elected officials is retiring or something big is happening to them. Maybe they're becoming a bigger judge, or maybe again they're retiring after 20 years of service. You can have an event to celebrate them and make a little money at the same time. So we always, of course, want to recognize our members for their hard work as well. So, okay, we're going to have an event. How do we host an event? First, we're going to determine the type of event and theme. Be creative and think of your community at large, not just your membership. Remember, you're trying to gain new members and raise awareness about your club. Once you determine what type of event you're going to have, create your timeline, establish and assign duties. The most important part after that is creating the budget and sticking to it. It is really easy as you get into putting on an event to go, oh, this totally costs a little bit extra more. We'll just add that in. Oh, but you know what? 2 weeks later, you know what? It's just a little bit more to do this. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and those are so cute. Yeah, yeah, let's put that in. Well, then pretty soon you realize you've eaten up all your profits because you put in all these little extras. Stick to your budget. Remember that your budget should include your food and beverage costs, all your entertainment costs, transportation costs, publicity costs, signage, printage, all printing, all of that stuff, any utility costs that your venue is going to charge you, and your security requirements. Most venues have you have an off-duty police officer. And speaking of venues, when you find the venue, ask about all costs. And yes, ask about utility costs. Are you going to charge us for utility? Quite frankly, we have run into that in different uh, events that we didn't, it spelled out real well exactly what the costs were until it was over, until it was time to start. And then didn't have it in a budget. So make sure that they explain out in detail when you sign on the dotted line everything they want you to pay for. Determine your food and entertainment. That's pretty self-explanatory and easy. If you're holding an auction, I highly suggest having a separate auction chair. It is a huge job, and not and just the finance chair can't do it alone. Have an auction chair. Create a spreadsheet with all your potential sponsors, donors, etc., and keep detailed notes of everybody you talk to, all your vendors, etc., for your next chair. Utilize your college or young Republicans for some of the volunteer activities that need to be done at your event. Maybe that's serving, maybe that's check in and out, maybe that's doing coat check, giving out the auction prizes. Give them a free ticket to the event. You know, if you've got a really good speaker that these kids probably wouldn't hear, and they certainly can't afford the $50 or $60 ticket to the event, they get to come to the event, help out a little bit, and they're happy to do it. Speaking of ticket prices and paying for a ticket, make sure you cover all your costs with your ticket price. Sometimes people will say, well, we'll make it just the same amount as the food and we'll make it up somewhere else. No, make sure you've covered the venue costs, the food cost, any drink costs, anything. It all needs to be within the ticket. And so that you do not lose money. So that if you don't have any sponsorships, you at least have covered your costs. I say, and of course, you want to charge double if you can, because you can also, it's how you make money. When you get ready to ask for sponsorships, don't leave anybody behind. Have sponsors from anywhere from the $50 mark to the gazillion-dollar mark, because your JP may not be able to do a $500 sponsorship, but boy, he could do a $50 sponsorship and he'd really like to do that for you. So be sure you ask for everything. Don't make your event too long. We have all been to events that go on for what feel like days and they're never going to end. Rule of thumb: the mind can only absorb what the butt can endure. I'm telling you, make it 3 hours tops. If it goes any further than that, you lose people. People are bored. They want to move on. Don't make your event too long. Remember to have fun at your fundraiser. That's how people are going to remember you and want to come back and want to participate again. We had the best first fundraiser with our Power of the Purse within my club. And we have people asking us again, are you going to do that again? Are you going to do that again? And it was so sad when we couldn't have it last year because of COVID. But we have people saying, okay, we're out of COVID. Are y'all going to do that this year? And yes, we are. That makes people want to come back, want to be part of your event, and spend money. So the event's over. Thank you. Now, this seems self-explanatory, but handwritten notes are so important. And please don't forget to do it. It means the world. They've taken the time to either write you a check or come. Be sure and say thank you. Update the spreadsheet at the end of the event and take out any bad data, take out anybody who's no longer in business, make sure you've got all the correct contact information. That'll be very helpful for your chair for the next year. The other thing you need to do the day after, that night you're going to be too exhausted, but the day after, sit down and write down what went well, what didn't go well, especially the night what didn't go well, so that it doesn't get repeated next year. We all forget within a few days some of the things that didn't roll well, and you forget just because that's the nature of the beast. That's the way we are. But you want that next chair to have that information so they don't have to learn the same lesson again, and it makes your event work even better. Getting ready to ask for money. So what I've put up here, and I know it's probably hard to see, is what the ask that we put out for my club. You want to share with your donors what you're going to spend your money on. So for example, and I know you probably can't read it, it says Power of the Purse will fund our goals for next year, including scholarships, Caring for America projects, and most importantly, keeping Texas red. They know what you're going to do with that money. This next year, this is the very first one we did. We were a young club. This year, it will probably say something like, we were able to help fund 5 women Republican campaigns. We were able to help buy books for an elementary school. And this year, our goals are to continue to keep our area red, work on our scholarship for our ladies, young Republican women, etc. That way they know what they're going to do with your money, with the money. Be sure and set specific amounts. Don't just say, oh, we'll take anything. No, tell them what you want. Go ahead and ask for it. And ask everybody. Don't forget to ask. People sometimes forget to ask and or think, oh, I shouldn't ask them because they did such and such. Worst they're going to say is no. Be sure to ask and ask for specifics. The other thing is, with any all of your levels, put in a membership. It's a way to gain members. And of course, don't forget to say thank you. Um, be sure and put in your newsletter, um, say thank you in person, all of the above. And when you've done something like buy a bunch of books for a third grade classroom, say, thanks to the proceeds of our Power of the Purse lunch, we were able to buy 10 books for a third grade classroom. Auction tips. So you're going to have an auction. Well, here's a few things that'll make your auction work a little easier, run a little better. Have a few live auction items. Don't have a bunch. I'm talking 2 or 3. These should be your big ticket items. So for example, let's say you have a Trump signed hat that you're expecting. That's going to be the big thing that will go in your auction. Um, have that auction at the beginning, and this gets the crowd going. It creates a fun atmosphere, and it sets the tone for the evening. If you can, have a professional auctioneer. A lot of times there's one in your clubs. They know how to get the bid prices up, and they know how to get the crowd going. Do not, do not, do not purchase items for an auction. Now, you would think that that would be, pretty self-explanatory, but I've seen clubs and organizations do that. It takes away from your profits. It takes away, it's just, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. And then sometimes you get stuck with stuff that you've paid for and you've got no return on it. Don't buy anything for the auction. Remember to hold your live auction before your speaker, because the crowd always decreases after the speaker. I attended a Lincoln Reagan dinner where the speaker went on particularly long and they had 1 or 2 extra speakers they weren't planning on. By the time the auction got there, more than half of the crowd was gone. And these big ticket items that someone had donated and had anticipated there being a large amount going to the party for, brought for $500 instead of a couple $1,000s. So be sure you have that live auction before your speaker. And I would consider using an online auction platform. It has a firm cutoff time. People can bid from their seat. They don't have to get up and go walk and check to see if they're still bidding, because sometimes they forget to do that. And then they can even pay online right there, and you don't have to have a checkout line and all that stuff. So I suggest trying to use an online auction platform if possible. There's lots of free ones out there. I've used 32 auctions a number of times. Fundraising mistakes. Biggest mistakes you can make is not ask. There are a lot of people out there who say, well, I don't want to ask so and so because they just did such and such. And what if they want to give you money? They're just waiting for the ask. Worst thing's going to happen is they say no. Don't wait till the last minute. Start raising money, or start planning to raise your money early. It takes months sometimes to plan these things. So be sure, start early, create the calendar, set your time frames, set your deadlines. Be flexible. Candidates and elected officials are famous for being last minute. And so you may come the week before your event, and all of a sudden they call up and say, oh, yes, we're coming. And we're going to be at the $1,000 level. But you've already turned in all of your numbers for your food. Well, you still want them to come. So be sure that you've added a couple extra seats, you've added a couple extra meals. Be flexible, let them come and let them purchase a ticket maybe after your cutoff date. It's the nature of the beast. Just be prepared. Of course, don't be dependent on one source of funding. Just like any investment, you want to have more than one strategy to raise money. And of course, be sure to say thank you, and don't let your donors not hear from you until the next event. Let them know as things are going through the year what you're doing and how their money is being spent. Makes them still feel like if they're a part of your club, and they want to come back. The rules. Any fundraiser, any fundraising is still under the Texas Ethics Commission. And they're pretty easy rules. First of all, you have to have a campaign treasurer. Well, you've already got that done because you've got a PAC treasurer, because your club's a PAC and you've got a treasurer. You've got a PAC treasurer. So you don't have to worry about that for your event. Listen to this one very closely. No raffles. No raffles. No raffles. Did you hear that? No raffles. That is an IRS thing. The only people who can have raffles legally are nonprofit organizations. We are not a nonprofit organization. We are a PAC. You may not have a raffle. Now, what can you do? You could sell a mystery bag. You can sell a mystery bag that maybe has a t-shirt in it. Maybe that mystery bag has the gold necklace in it. But they've given you money for something in exchange. But you cannot sell a ticket for the chance for something. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. Remember that your auction activity is reportable. It is the same. You've got money coming in and out. Your PAC treasurer is going to understand this. Any item that's donated goes under the in-kind contribution section of the TEC reporting form, and anybody that buys anything that gets reported as well, and you need all of their information. Also, no cash contributions over $100. So at the end of the evening, if you do a big pass the boot, you can't keep it unless somebody wants to claim it and say that they're going to give all of that cash over $100. But that's a really iffy thing to do, and I highly suggest you just don't do it. No cash over $100. No cash or no anonymous contributions. No contributions to corporations or labor organizations, no contributions for nationals, and no misuse of government property. Remember that you may have a member who works at the county and they're like, oh, I just make copies for us. No, that's misusing government property. What's the consequences? Well, you got to go to the principal's office, right? Well, you could face fines, court costs, possibly losing your PAC status, and of course your affiliation with the organization. I forgot to turn my phone off. I'm so sorry. Some advice. I have seen some clubs that have done some alcohol or wine pools. And they're a lot of fun, and it's a great way to make money. And if you've never had one before, you don't even know what I'm talking about. What this means is people donate bottles of alcohol, whether it's wine, scotch, bourbon, whatever, and you have 20 bottles of whatever of alcohol, and then the person gives you $20 and they get some random thing of alcohol. You can do that, but you have to have the permit. It can make money, but you have to have the permit. And the Democrats are always looking for something to zing us on. So make sure you have the permit if you're going to do this. It's a temporary sales license permit. Contact your local TABC office. They'll help you get that. Now, this also includes anything in your auction. So, for example, If you have a purse that is a wine purse, you're going to put a bottle of wine with that. The wine is not part of the donation price, and it is not part of the sales price. It has to just be a free perk. It is, again, you do not have the sales permit to sell alcohol. So I just say stay away from it. It's a good piece of advice. Otherwise, just talk to your local TVBC office. Finally, I want to know what you're doing. You're going to make all this money and you're going to have all this cash everywhere. I want to know what you're doing. Please share with me your successes, and of course, share with me your failures. I mean, if it didn't work, let's not let anybody else do it again. If you had something, a really great event, I want to highlight it in the newsletter. Please let me know. And you, like I said, you might spark the imagination of someone else. Here's all my information. Jill Tate, 214-354-9443. That's my cell. Here's my emails: vpfinance@tfrw.org, jill@tate-usa.com. If I have, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about all your wonderful ideas. I want to hear about what's worked, what hasn't worked. And if you have any questions, because I know I'm not doing this live and you can't answer, I can't answer or ask, and you can't ask me anything. Drop me a line. I know I'll be home late Sunday afternoon, but drop me an email, give me a call, and I will be happy to answer what I can when I can. I thank you for tuning in with me today and sharing this time with me. And I hope I've helped in any way. Thank you for my technology kind of craziness. And remember, please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I am here to be a resource for you.